Let's have a conversation. What's going on, everybody? Good evening. It's your boy Mark of Mindful Reality, the show that covers reality TV from a mental health perspective. Let's have a conversation. So, we have reached our final episode of Squid Game, the Challenge. Squid Game, the Challenge was a recreation of the original Korean series Squid Game. I think that for the people expecting Squid Game to stack up to Squid Game, the Challenge, that's impossible. It's impossible to make a game version of this show that is equal to the magnitude of what the actual show, the written show, presented us. Because let's be real, in the actual show, the people that were coming on the show were not giving stories that are like, I grew up poor, or I came up in a single parent home, that type of thing. They were like, I am a criminal. I'm in millions and millions of dollars of debt, and people are chasing after me to kill me. And winning this represents getting my life back. I mean, that's not to discount or discredit anybody's stories, but I think you just have to look at it as two separate shows. It's like how they have The Price is Right, and now they're having this Price is Right tour. The show is the show, and the tour is the tour. So when you look at them as two separate things, I think it makes it easier to accept that you're not getting the intensity of the TV show, the scripted TV show Squid Games. With that said, this is the show with the biggest amount of prize money in reality TV game show history on the line, 4.56 million. That in and of itself is a huge pressure. This game is a gamble, as I keep saying all the time. I'm like, of all the shows to go on, this is probably your least likely to win because it requires the least skill. Yeah, there's some opportunities for you to show your skill and your resolve, but generally, we've seen so many things are luck-based, and the final was no different. So we have our three finalists in the building. We got number 287, which is Mai. We got number 451, which is Phil. We got number 16, which is Sam. So my curiosity, now that I had seen the original Squid Game, was how are they going to do this finale? Because we saw what happened in the finale. The episode before the finale, that lady got injured by the glass, and then it seemed like the guy who came in second killed her. So then it was left with two of them, and then they were playing Squid Game, but they were playing the actual, Squid Game, not what they did here. So they did the whole dinner thing where they all dressed up and they got to eat a nice meal. In the original, obviously, when they lifted up the tray, well, not when they lifted up the tray, but they were all left with their knives. And it was like, do whatever you do. Do whatever it takes to get yourself to the final two or whatever with the knives. So I was like, okay, what are they going to do here? So they decide to do this game of chance where there are three shapes: a circle, a triangle, and a square. So the person gets on there, the voice announces that one of you is going to pick one of those randomly. I mean, you're going to choose which one you pick. One of them is going to be green. It's going to light up green when you touch it. And if it lights up green, you are through to the final, and you get to pick one person to come with you. If you pick the gray one, If you pick the shape that ends up lighting up gray, it's of no consequence to you. And if you pick the shape that lights up red, then it means you're automatically eliminated. It was epic. Hi, Luke, and hi, Charmed Life. So it looked like neither Phil nor Sam wanted to pick because they were like, it's such a game of chance, and they were both scared to pick. So they didn't want to pick, but it sounded, but what Mai said in her diary room confession was that she was like, if one of them presses the green button, then they are probably going to pick each other. And from all the foreshadowing and all the conversations it showed that they were having, that they were saying that exact thing, it seems like she was right. So I felt like this was probably the right move for her, but it was also a ballsy move because your $4.56 million is now in the hands of random chance, and you're the one who's taking the biggest chance. So she goes first, and she picks the triangle. The triangle is flashing, flashing. It flashes gray. The triangle flashes gray. Oh, I thought it was a little bit funny when Phil was asking her, are you sure that you want to pick first? Are you sure? Like, he knows he doesn't want to go. Sam doesn't want to go. So, yeah, that was kind of interesting. But she picked first. She picked the gray one. So now there's one choice left. And it's 50-50 between Sam and Phil. 50-50 on which one of them is going to go, and 50-50 when one of them decides to go. Is it going to go green and give them the chance to go and pick someone to go with them, or is it going to go red and eliminate that person immediately? So here we are. Sam and Phil are going back and forth, and Sam is pretty much like, do you want to go? Phil's like, no, I don't want to go. But Phil's like, do you want to go? And Sam is basically like, we both don't want to go, but you want to go even less than I don't want to go. So it's going to be me. So Sam goes up there and he has a 50-50 chance. His $4.56 million is dependent on which one of these two things that he chooses. The triangle is gone. The square and the circle are left. So Sam ends up picking the square. The square lights up red. Mai and Phil are both crying for different reasons. I know that Phil was happy, but then he was also like, I feel like a coward. And I'm sitting here like, it's a random game of chance. The guy chose to go. He could have tried to stalemate you or fight harder for you to have picked. You could have picked the circle. It is what it is. At that point, I wouldn't feel bad. I would just feel like, you know what? I made it. Whatever means necessary. He picked the wrong one. I lucked out. Now I'm in the final two. So I'm very interested to see how they do this final two. But before we get to that, they go back into the sleeping quarters, and then they drop the big ball that has all the money in it. And Maya's like, you want to go check this out? Phil's like, yeah, let's go check this out. They walk over to it, and they're both kind of like, it's a whole different thing looking at this money on the ground here versus seeing it up in the air. And then they're both saying, oh, let's pinky promise that we're both going to do our best, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I get that y'all are trying to do the honorable thing, but y'all both want that money. At the end of the day, I feel like those kind of things are reverse psychology, but it is what it is. So we get to the final, which we know what happened in the final on Squid Games. One person lived, one person died. The main character ended up winning the Squid Game. So we got Mai, we got Phil, we got Phil, we got Mai. What did they decide to do to decide the fate of this $4.56 million? And I have to admit, I've already been looking at Twitter, and a lot of people are annoyed about this. And to tell you the truth, me too. I'm like, what a way to end the game of what is supposed to be a representation of such an epic show. I feel like it needed more than that. But anyways, I'm going to tell you why I'm laughing in a second. They say the fate of the game is going to be decided by a game of rock, paper, scissors. I was like, okay. And then the first thing I was thinking was, I hope that it's not literally just rock, paper, scissors, because that would be crazy. And then the voice was like, here are the rules. Scissors beats paper. Rock beats scissors. I'm like, you're giving us the rules of rock, paper, scissors at this point. What are we doing here? But then after that, it's like, whoever wins that round of rock, paper, scissors gets to go and choose a key. And whatever key you choose has the potential to unlock the safe. It's like, all right. It's a little on the anticlimactic side, but it is what it is. It seemed like, based on what it looked like in the edit and what they said in the diary room, that Mai won the vast majority of those rock, paper, scissors games. And that's why I'm glad that she won. Well, I think that as far as gameplay goes, she definitely played the game better socially. Strategy wise, it seemed like she played a better game. And at the end, she ended up getting the right key. She won the 4.56 mil. But then I was kind of like, that's it. I felt so stressed watching the last episode of Squid Game as if it was real. I felt more stressed in the written version of the game than I did in the actual real life game with a real life 4.56 million on the line. Yes, there was like a little bit of a dramatic feeling, and I was one of the people that said, you know what, I like the challenge version of the show. It's not bad. You know, it kept my interest and it piqued my interest and everything like that, but they could have done a lot more with the final episode. I'm not really super excited about the final episode. But shout out to Mai for winning. I hope that I can get a couple of those people maybe for an interview, see what they think. But yeah, I thought that there would be much more for me to talk about the finale, but that was it. The finale, the second to last night, was a game of chance. Press the button. 1 in 3 chance of winning. I mean, 1 in 3 chance of advancing, and then a 1 in 2 chance of advancing. Then the next thing was rock, paper, scissors. Pick a key. Hope your key is right, and then go back to the drawing board. And then it showed a couple of them out in the community. And then it showed that Squid Games is casting, which I already know. As far as if I was on the show, I've said this each and every one of these recaps. If I applied to be on Squid Game, it would 100% be, well, I won't say 100%. It would 99.9% be just for the exposure. Now, if I get on there and get extremely lucky and beat out 455 people in these games of luck, chance, and a little bit of strategy, awesome. 4.56 million, even after taxes, would change my life. But I wouldn't go onto the show thinking that there was a bat's chance in hell of me winning the show, because I would be wildly, terribly disappointed if that was the case. Yeah, I mean that's the whole issue. They tried to recreate to an extent what was happening in the game in the written game. It's funny that I'm considering the scripted one as the real game, but they tried to recreate that, but there has to be some variables there. But I think that they'll go back to the drawing board if they do another one of these challenge versions, and they'll learn from their mistakes. However, I'm glad that we'll probably be getting the second season of the original Squid Game before the next challenge one comes out. So I think that, once they decide and figure out what they're going to do for the script for that, I think that that will help them, because obviously season 1 of Squid Games The Challenge was supposed to kind of mimic season 1 of Squid Game. So season 2, they're going to have to change things up a little bit. I wonder if they'll ask for Mai to participate in some kind of a way in the second one. They're looking for people to apply for the game. Yeah, they've been putting that out, and also they put that at the end of the episode. They showed it like how they showed the cards on the show, but no faces, because obviously they're still casting right now. So that's actually the end of my recap. I don't have much more to say than that. I would say if I was rating the overall series, as far as competition shows go, I'd probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10. As far as the final goes, I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. It wasn't the worst thing that I've ever seen, but it's also not like I was really on the edge of my seat like that. I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over it, honestly. I'm ready for reindeer games. This one of those, it's about the journey, not the destination things. Yeah, because I spoke about this on one of my lives that I did about Big Brother. I remember back in the day, me and one of my friends on, I think it was Memorial Day or one of these holiday weekends when we were in school, there was some kind of superhero movie that was on in the theaters. And that movie was a sure bet that it was going to be a good movie. And then a third person wanted to come along with us to this movie. And he said, "Oh, let's watch this movie called Birth." And I don't know if any of you have heard of the movie called Birth, but it was a movie about this couple, and the man died in the movie and got reincarnated as a child. So he goes and he finds, I can't remember if she was his wife or if she was maybe his fiance, but whatever the case was, the guy came back as a child and went and found her and started telling her, like, we were together, we're a couple. Here's all these personal details about you and about our time together. And the girl was, at first the lady was like, "Get this weird kid out of here." And then she started listening and was like, "How would anybody know that? This was just a thing between the two of us." So the whole movie he spends convincing her that he's her lover that just got reincarnated into this other body. Eventually, at the end of the movie, she believes him. And then she's like, "We're going to move away together, and I'm going to wait for you to become of age, and then we're going to get married, blah, blah, blah." And then at the end of the movie, he was like, "Oh, I made it up. I was lying. Oops." And I was looking at this guy who convinced us to watch this movie, and I'm like, bro, I just watched this whole movie. I mean, the movie, I'm not going to say the movie was bad. I enjoyed quite a bit of the movie, but then the ending left a sour taste in my mouth. So, my whole point of that whole story is that's a little bit of what happened here. It wasn't terrible, it just wasn't that interesting. I was I was a little nervous to see who won, but not in a real heart pumping, this is so crazy. I'm on the edge of my seat type of way, like I was for the original Squid Game. Like that game made me feel like really anxiety filled. I was like, oh my goodness, this game is wild. So yeah, that's my review. It was a pretty good series overall. If I'm not thinking about my disappointment of just today's episode that they made us wait a week for, everything else was pretty good. Everything else was pretty good. And that's the end of my recap. I thought I was going to go a little bit longer, but I don't have more to say. So I might jump off this and maybe hop into my challenge recap pretty shortly after a short break. So thank you all for tuning in. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified of when I drop some more great content. And thanks for tuning in.